Hello everyone, it's me Rainynen, and today I'm going to talk about how I spent 24 hours crafting in cosmic exploration to become the star contributor. Now, in the background of this video, I'm going to have the full 24 hours sped up a lot. So there's that, and I'm actually gonna start by talking about how I prepared for this grind, because this is actually on the second ranking day and not on the first one. I did try to rank or get the star contributor on the first day as well, but I came in about 8 hours late, so I was already so much late that I could not get past the top 20%. So I did spend like 15 hours grinding and ruining my sleep schedule and didn't get that. So for the next day I decided, okay, I'm gonna sleep well. While the ranking is not on, I'm going to go in and get some of my tools done so that I get the currency bonus from crafting once I start doing the grind for the star contributor. So I did some tools and... No, actually I didn't do this. I did the tools while the ranking was going on. Before that, I opened the A rank missions. That's what I did. At least on most crafters. So I was using an alchemist, culinarian, and I don't remember what the third one was. But at some point during the ranking I went to switch souls and got tools for weaver and leatherworker. So I did some tools while ranking. My plan was to not completely focus on the ranking, because if by a chance I did not get a star contributor, it would be much more devastating, because I would have not done anything else but focus on that, and that would have been really sad. So I did some tools and then I just crafted A rank missions. Well, as you can see from the video, I did craft many of them. Well, I would call them like expert recipes. There's no like specification that it's an expert recipe, but I would say that some of these are like expert recipes. I really like in cosmic exploration that some of the missions are macroable, and then there's some that kind of go in the expert recipe category, because it gives like variety on what you're doing. So of course I also did a lot of mech ops. I would only go to mech ops if I became a pilot, because being a pilot gives you a sizable contribution, which I assume is the biggest contribution you can get in cosmic exploration. So I always went to mech ops only when I got to pilot. And I did put every single mech ops on paper, which is when I figured out that it happens every 20 minutes. And when there were a lot of players, I would get to pilot in around 5 rounds. So when I piloted, then it would be like 5 times until I got to pilot again. Once it became nighttime and there were not many players and I was in a quite empty instance, that's when I got to pilot back to back multiple times. So by the end of this 24-hour grind, I had like 24 of the... what is it called? Big Bang tickets? Anyways, I had a lot of those. So I got a lot of sizable contributions from that. And for the start, I just did whatever I wanted to craft. Sometimes I did some macros whenever I was like... I would put on a macro and make some food in real life and then come put on the other macro. And once I was back on the computer fully so that I didn't have to macro craft, I would do the expert recipes, which I did by hand without any macros. So some macro crafting, some hand crafting, and once I got over around the 16-hour mark, when a normal person would have gone to sleep, I just macro crafted and did mech ops. I would not craft by hand because by that point my brain was not working. I also did take note on every red alert, and during that 24 hours there were at least 6 to 7 of them. They happened around every 4 to 5 hours. I don't think there's like a specific timing on when they happen, but it's like around 4 to 5 hours, which people so far have noticed, I think. So yeah, I did not try to get points for the 500k achievement, nor did I focus on getting currency or any of that, because I am assuming that the star contributor only counts the modest, respectable, generous, and sizable contribution texts. So we have no there's no numbers. It's not like Iscard Restoration ranking, where you could see the numbers. There's no numbers. There's just that text and asking the loporrit what percentage you are at. Which in a way I found to be much more mentally draining than Iscard Restoration back in the day. Because at least back then, you knew where you stood on the rankings. And, well, this doesn't need that because there is no real reward. There's just the 14 days buff around you. And that's the reward. So I wanted it because I am a self-proclaimed crafter and gatherer main. So this was like a nice project for me. But I do not see a reason for a casual player to do this, and I also would not recommend it because it was a lot for the mind and the body. But yeah, so I also figured out that some of the crafts I had like one craft that was really bad. You had to craft 3 of the items, and I didn't or couldn't make a macro for it. I am not skilled enough in making macros, so I just ignored that quest every time. And instead, I just always took a specific craft where you have to only do one thing. Currently, I'm doing the survey knives. So that was one of my favorites. There's the Habitat Bathtub. That is the craft that I could not macro for the life of me, and I couldn't be asked to craft it one by one because you had to craft 3 of those. So I just, every time I saw the quest that gives that, I just ignored. Abandon, take something else. By abandoning, you get new missions, so that's really nice. You're not stuck with the same ones. But yeah, I did a lot of manual crafting at first because it was much faster than macro crafting, especially since most of the macro craft missions you need to craft 3 items. There is one mission where you only have to craft 1 item, and later I started only doing those, and in the last around 6 hours of the 24-hour grind I only did those. I would just pick that, abandon until that came again, and I would check all 3 crafters that I have with soul. I would check all of them to see if they had the quest on them. If not, take something, abandon, until you get the quest you want. That's what I did. Because too tired. I was way too tired. And I also was very worried that my contribution was not going to be enough to become a star contributor. It was a ongoing fear the whole time, because from the start until the end, all I saw was you are in the top 10%. And honestly, I think that kind of sucks. But yeah, that's what I did. That's mostly what I did. I did finish like 3 tools. I did I got my alchemist to around 100,000 points, which is during the red alerts I focused on playing as an alchemist, if alchemist was available, because I really want to get the title for that one, because alchemist is my favorite crafter. Well, I say that and then I do other stuff. I did do some botany as well. I would go into the red alerts, use my GP on doing like 2 or 3 craft gatherings, and then I would craft the rest of the time. That's what I did. I thought I would yap more about this, but I think that's pretty much all there is to say about that. My only plan was to do it in a way that even if I don't get the star contributor, I would not regret spending the time doing the things I did. Which I can say, if I did not get the star contributor, I would have been freaking devastated. So that plan didn't work out. But I got it, so everything is fine. And I must say, I would do it again. But I'm only saying that because there's no hologram. I wanted to see my character in the hologram thing that they showed in the live letter, and after the rankings is when I realized that the hologram things don't exist yet. And they are built with the build once we progress enough of this moon, and I just might have to get star contributor again later to see the hologram, which currently I'm not looking forward to, but maybe later on I once again get the inspiration to do this again, and maybe with a bit more preparation. So perhaps I could use less time on it, but be more efficient, so I don't have to stay awake for the whole 24 hours. But yeah, that's the plan in the future. I just don't remember what the mission was. Oh, the mission that I mostly macro crafted, because it only needed 1 item and I got the macro into 2 buttons, was the one that has 400 durability and 21,000 quality and 80 durability, 400 progress and 21,000 quality. That was the craft that I crafted mostly, because it was the fastest macroable craft that I could do with my with my poor macros. They are not very good, but they worked, and that's all that matters. So I still need to build a macro for that one craft that I am avoiding like a plague. But yeah, that was how I ranked, or that was what I did to become the star contributor. And currently, while I'm watching the video sped up, it has only been 12 hours. So next I'm going to talk about what I think of cosmic exploration generally. For this section, I have actually written down some of my thoughts, so it's not quite as random. So let's get into it. So, was cosmic exploration what I hoped it would be? No! But it was much, much better than what I hoped it would be. There are a lot of improvements when compared to Isgard Restoration and Island Sanctuary. Well, I've always been of the mind that we should not talk about those two as if they were similar in any way, shape or form, so I'm mostly going to look at cosmic exploration from the lens of an Isgard Restoration enjoyer. But even with my distaste for Island Sanctuary, I find myself grateful for its existence for a first time in a long while, because without it, we probably would not have the Exo tablet, which is the feature exclusive to Cosmic Exploration Zones, and the savior of the two poor retainers working for someone who mains crafting and gathering. I didn't think it would be possible, but they really did take the best parts of Ishgard Restoration and Island Sanctuary, put some cosmic dust on it, and made something beautiful. So where do I even start? I love stellar missions. Instead of having to craft hundreds of items for an achievement, with every mission I feel like I've accomplished something. And it feels very rewarding and, most of all, fun. It's also nice that the items are high quality, so I get to progress the high quality achievements at the same time, because I still have not gotten the high quality achievements for every crafter. So that's really great, because in the restoration everything was a collectible. So yeah. I love that some of the missions are macroable, while some are clearly meant to be like expert recipes. And it's sometimes nice to switch from one to another instead of just crafting experts or just macro crafting. The time limits aren't that noticeable in most of the crafting missions, but I think that's good, because it does not feel nice to be rushed when crafting. I also greatly enjoy that the missions change every time you finish one, because variety! And I easily get stuck to just doing the most comfortable thing if it's always available, so that's really good for me. And since the missions do not appear on the same spots either, I believe this is at least a small attempt to make botting harder as well, which I do appreciate. Some of the crafting missions have an extra action called Material Miracle, which is literally the best thing ever. It's a 45-second buff that guarantees either a good, sturdy, centered, pliant, primed or malleable material condition on each step. And I have always hoped they would do something more with the material conditions, so it would incentivize people to manual craft more. And this seems to be the first step towards that direction, other than expert recipes being too hard to macro. The buff having a time limit also requires quick thinking, so you can get the most out of it, and I just really like that. And I hope we see more mechanics like that in future updates. While I do enjoy some cool chill gathering, I do find the gathering missions very enjoyable as well. They are kind of like gathering leaves, but once you get the gold star rating, it instantly ends without requiring you to gather from every node you didn't gather from, which is the type of leaf that I absolutely loathe. So let's have an update for the leaves too, please. Trying to find the best way to use my GP to get everything I need in the time limit is a nice little challenge, and it really makes getting the gold star rating feel so much greater. Fishing I've done mostly with red alerts, and I think I'll keep doing just that for the 500,000 achievement after getting gold star rank on every mission, as I don't personally really care that much about fishing in or outside of Cosmic Exploration. Of course, I've been keeping up with the news and seen that there has been a lot of talk that these missions are too hard, or that gathering should be chill and not timed, and to that I must comment that all gathering outside of Cosmic Exploration is just that. And I think it's good to finally have something a little bit different. So overall, stellar missions are absolutely great, and I'm very happy we got them, instead of just normal crafting and gathering, or god forbid collectibles. While the missions are basically the same for each job, but with different names, I still feel like there's enough of them for the first phase of Cosmic Exploration, when counting the weather and timed restricted missions as well. And sequential and critical missions. How did I forget those two? Especially since they gave us an achievement for completing all of them with gold star rating. There are also milestones in Cosmic Exploration called Stellar Successes, which kinda surprised me. There's standard ones that you can do once and daily ones that reset each day. Completing all the dailies gives a nice amount of currencies, and that's great. I prefer when things are daily instead of weekly because missing a day or two doesn't feel that bad as missing a week. Having these daily successes gives an opportunity to get the currencies without having to work too hard, which is probably very nice for those who might not enjoy crafting and gathering that much. And I do think that it's important to have these kinds of things to even get people in to try this content. So that's also really great. Usually one of these daily successes is completing a mech ops, so let's talk about that next. Currently, I don't know if there will be more, but currently there are 2 kinds of mech ops and I don't really mind that, because they are a nice break away from the missions. I really like how they tied a buff to it, so even if you don't join in every single mech ops, there are still incentives to at least join some of them. So after finishing mech ops as a ground supporter or a pilot, you get a buff for the next 20 missions that gives you more of the currencies, and I just really think that's neat. I feel like they really focused on making little things like that make this whole experience much more enjoyable for everyone. During my 24-hour grind, I did list the start time of each mech ops and came to the conclusion that it happens every 20 minutes unless there's a red alert, or I think there was some kind of short pause during the nighttime when there were almost no one in the instance. Don't know what that is about, but around every 20 minutes. During the times that there were many players, I would get to pilot around every 5th mech ops. And during the night, when there were no players, I actually got to pilot back to back multiple times. So if you really want to just pilot the mech, the best time is when there is the least amount of players and you're in an instance that is very empty. So do not go to instance 1. Another thing that is nice break from the normal missions is Red Alert, which is basically a 20-minute window where you get to do more missions, except they are quite fast, at least at level 100, so they are a good way to get a lot of the currency and points for the 500,000 achievement. It might not seem like there's much to do in Cosmic Exploration, but I actually think this is already a lot of things to do. Cosmic Exploration really feels like an amusement park. And like any good amusement park, it has stuff to buy and a Wheel of Fortune. Now, I'm an avid hater of RNG, but I can't really give an unbiased opinion of the Cosmic Wheel because I gained so much currency from my grind that I already have spun it over 100 times and gotten everything. For some reason, the minion was the most elusive reward for me. So my opinion is that it's okay. Cosmic Exploration is only a week old after all, so it makes sense that not everyone has all the rewards already. The shop items I think are good as well. I didn't feel like the prices are too much or too little, especially since we have the daily successes. I do love that they added many new dice to the game and that I can buy those with Cosmo credits, because if the only thing I could use them for after getting everything was materia, I would very fast make my way back to the firmament. I haven't even talked about the relic tools yet, so let's talk about those. So when you come into the Cosmic Exploration, you can get a level 10 version of each relic for free, which I think is really cool because people new to crafting get a free tool that they can start working on from the very beginning, instead of having to focus on just leveling. I think crafting has suffered a bit from all the cool things and rewards being locked behind higher levels, or from being way too much work for someone just getting started. So Cosmic Exploration having a very low barrier to entry makes me very happy, since more people may be willing to try crafting and gathering because of it. The tools themselves are not that long of a grind, which is understandable since this is only the first phase. And I really like that the more tools you make, the faster it becomes to make the rest. Especially since they are definitely meant to be used in Cosmic Exploration with that lunar credit bonus. The tools themselves look really nice, but I really don't like how the workstations look. But again, they will change as we get more steps to the relic grind, so I'm not too worried about that yet. I can't wait to see what the shiny tools look like though. I have yet to take my alt character to see how the leveling is, but I'm assuming it's good. I actually do not mind if it isn't as busted as Ishgard Restoration leveling is, because there are many ways you can level your crafters and gatherers in the game, and I don't think it's good if one place is so much better than everything else that people will demotivated to try anything else. I really feel like Cosmic Exploration is going to be the best content to introduce and get people into crafting and gathering. Not only because it is available for crafters and gatherers starting from level 10, of course after finishing the Endwalker main scenario quest, but because it does not require inventory management nor relying on other jobs, which are the two things that I feel put off many people from ever getting into this content in the first place. The barrier to entry is seriously, generously low, which I am very happy about. Also, now that I remember, if you do have the Final Fantasy XIV companion app on your phone, there's actually a new menu you can add for Cosmic Exploration, and from that you can see your world's progress. And I think you can also put on the alerts, so the phone alerts you when there's going to be one of those big fates that progresses the Lunar Development Initiative. You can also see your daily and standard successes, Cosmic Class Tracker, and how much you have the two currencies from there, so that's really neat. And it looks kinda cool too, so check it out if you want. And well then, I guess it's time to come to some kind of conclusion with all this talking. So, in a nutshell, I think Cosmic Exploration is great, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. I believe we'll get a lot of enjoyment long term from it, especially with new planets coming each major patch. I hope you enjoyed hearing my very, ooh, I like this and that and that and actually that too opinions, and that I made any sense when trying to talk about the grind that I did off the top of my head. And as always, I hope to hear what you've thought about Cosmic Exploration so far, because shared joy is double the joy. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and good drafts from Orbiting Way. That kinda rhymed. Bye bye!